Hey everybody, it's Mark Vogt and welcome to VOGTLAND Outdoors. I'm here at Silver Spring State Park where we have a wide variety of outdoor archery targets, but we've also got over there free trap shooting. So people are going to be shooting in the background. You're going to hear some gunshots. Don't freak out. I'm not living in the city. It's not gang fire. It's just other people having fun with shotguns. In this episode, we're going to go over what I mean by making a small motion release. But first, roll 'em! Okay, we're back. You guys have heard me talking about the 5-step VOGTLAND shooting method, which is really the combination of Olympic recurve archery methodology, shooting method, which is really the combination of Olympic recurve archery, shooting combined with string walking. You get the best of both worlds. You get the 4 characteristics that make a compound bow and an Olympic recurve bow as accurate as they are. You get a rear sight and a front sight directly over the top of the arrow. You get a mechanism for precisely controlling the elevation of the arrow, hence the range. And I keep talking about this, the ability to make a small motion release. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's start by looking at a release on a compound bow. It's almost always made up of a pair of pincers with what's called a sear mechanism in the background, a trigger mechanism that suddenly pops them loose. What I want you to pay attention of is this though, that the bowstring is right smack in the middle, and those 2 jaws of the release open at the same time, so that if the bowstring is only about 2 millimeters wide, then each of those 2 pieces, each jaw has to only move a millimeter in one direction and the string is coming out. That represents as small a motion as possible. Now, does the release really go like this before that bowstring comes out? Yes, but it only moves 1 millimeter on each side before the bowstring starts coming out. That's what's meant by small motion. And that motion, that very mechanism, why a mechanical release doesn't look like this is because this introduces a lot more motion, and the bowstring is sliding off to the side as you're making that bigger motion with your fingers. So the small motion from a compound bow release is meant to be the minimal amount of motion required and equal on both sides to be able to release the bowstring. The minimal amount of motion also means the minimal amount of error being introduced in the bowstring as it moves to one side or the other. It goes right down the middle. It's our job using our fingers then, an Olympic recurve archer, a barebow person, even somebody with an Asian bow shooting with a thumb ring, what we have to try to do is introduce as little motion in the bowstring as we possibly can. Because when you start letting go, what happens is that bowstring starts pulling quite all right. But if you were to look at it from this side, what's happening is when you start releasing, the bowstring is going to one side or the other, depending on what you do with your hand. If you're gripping it like this before you let go, then the bowstring is going to the right, it's going to the left, it's going to the inside, it's going to the outside, even as it's slipping from your fingers. That's a lot of error going back and forth that translates into the arrow. That at full draw, if you were to grip it like bad knock, that if you were to over grip this bowstring like this, a really big grip that involves your first knuckles, your second knuckles, and even your third knuckles all curled up, then when you start releasing, you're going to see that mechanics of your hand is going to start moving the bowstring one way and then the other, and then finally let go. That means you have no idea which direction the arrow is really going. It's literally releasing like this. You're at full draw, you start releasing, you start releasing, it goes this way, and then finally it releases. That the arrow is literally flying out of your finger like this. We can't completely approximate the perfection of releasing a bowstring from each side because we're not pinching with our fingers. We're pulling on 40 pounds. We can't pull with 2 fingers and release like a mechanical release on a compound bow. So the next best thing we can do is from one side, we're trying to actually introduce an anchor that requires the least amount of effort to hold the string back, least amount of motion, not effort. It requires the least amount of motion, geometric motion, to curve enough that you're holding the string. And then when upon release, it's the smallest amount of motion to let go of it. And that's what I call a small motion release. That's all I want you thinking about. We're not trying to overcomplicate this, guys. It's trying to curve just the tips of your fingers, really. You're trying to keep this part of your knuckle. What I find works is to keep these knuckles straight. Don't let them curve at all. Don't involve them. They stay straight. For the most part, that's the first set of knuckles, the big knuckles. The second set of knuckles, you want them to be straight too. You want to try to put the bend only on, as much as possible, only on the very end knuckles. You're holding like this. Why? So that when you release, you're making as small a motion as possible. And you're trying to catch the tops of those pads. Let me take my glove off to try to give you an idea. When you release, you want to be holding like this. You do not want to be holding like this. Why? Because now your major knuckles are going to be holding too. You're squeezing like this, and when you start letting go, the bowstring is going to go this way, then it's going to go this way, and then you're finally going to release. And it's all unnecessary. What you want is to grab it with only the middle pads of your last digits, right there. You want to let these knuckles be straight. These are the first set of knuckles, the big ones. The next set you want to be as straight as possible too. You only want the curve, any curve, to be just on those last knuckles. This is how you're pulling. Because then when you let go, it's as small a motion as possible and the bowstring is on his way. It hasn't shifted off to the right. It hasn't shifted off to the left, or at least minimally. You're just letting it go. That's all that's required. Let me pull my string back. Let me try doing it without a glove. To give you an idea what we're talking about. I'm going to anchor like this with my fingers. Not like this. This is too much. When you start to let go, the bowstring is going to start shifting off to the side and it's unnecessary. You want in the middle of the pads. Now you want a thick glove, because the more you squeeze on this, the more you squeeze, look at how my fingers start to bulge. They become hook-like and it's hard to try to let go. That's why you want really thick gloves that give you a feel for the bowstring, but they make like it's a thicker skin so the bowstring slides more easily. If I were to draw, this is what it's going to look like then. Straight like that. And I draw back in a full anchor. When I let go, what's going to happen is, this is the only error that I'm introducing. I'm literally letting the bowstring go straight ahead, and it's not going to shift off to the left or to the right. Let me put the glove on and we'll try this one time. This isn't going to be one of those videos where you actually get to see me shooting, because that's not going to show you the glove. It's not going to show you what happens with the fingers. This one, when I draw, I'm not gripping like this. No, no, no. I'm gripping in the middle of the pads, letting this set of digits go straight, trying as much as I can to let the second set of digits go straight. The curving happens only in the last digits, like this, so that when I release, it's just a little bit of straightening and the arrow flies true without a lot of without a lot of left motion in the bowstring. So that's what I mean by a small motion release. Introduce as little motion as possible. And the cool part about using the VOGTLAND shooting method, which is really Olympic archery, Olympic recurve archery, is that by anchoring under your chin, you're anchoring this digit, the second one, not the tip. This is what's getting anchored under your chin. And what that allows you to do is flex and open that finger up, the last digit, without having to open the whole hand up, and certainly without having to curl this. If I were to anchor this finger underneath my chin, the last digit underneath my chin, how do I move that finger? It's the second digit that's anchoring underneath there, so that you can open up the finger. You can open up and allow a very small motion release. Is it zero motion? No, it's not zero motion. I've never said it's zero motion. I said it's small motion, as small as you can make, because that left to right motion as you release, whether it's to the right, whether it's to the left, that's going to introduce some left to right error in the arrow, and you're trying to minimize that. Very simple. So we're not trying to overthink this. We're not talking about back tension or any other super advanced topic. We're saying take the second digit of your finger, anchor that under your chin. The bowstring is right here, and then when you make a small motion release, all you have to do is straighten out that last finger, and the bowstring comes straight at the camera eye. It goes straight, no left, no right error. I hope this helps. This is Mark, the person that was asking for this advanced video. I'll take a look at it. We'll see how it does. This is Mark Vogt with VOGTLAND Outdoors. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. You guys, something is happening. For the first year, I've been out here 2 years. This is beginning of year number 3. For the first year, I was getting 1 subscriber a day, 30 subscribers a month. With year number 2, that doubled. I was getting 2 subscribers a day, 60 subscribers a month. But for the last 2 months, I have been getting over 800 subscribers a month. Something is happening. Word is starting to spread about this simple method that combines Olympic recurve archery with string walking to give you a barebow shooting technique that can be as accurate as a compound bow. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. We'll see you out there. Thanks. Cut. You guys, I have no idea if this is going to work, but I'm going to try shooting from way down below so you can see what that small motion release looks like as I shoot at a 10-meter target. Let's see if this can illuminate what's going on. I'm picking up only the middle of the last digits. That's what's going on the bowstring. Anchoring under my chin, and now all I have to do is just let the string literally pull itself out of those last digits, meaning those 3 fingers are just straightening out, and I'm catching just the edge of this middle knuckle is what's anchoring underneath my chin. Let's try it again. You'll notice my head is turning. The target is over here. My face is like this. My eyes, my anchor is like this. My eyes are looking like that over the bridge of my nose. I am not facing my target. I'm looking over at you, 45-degree angle away from the target. See how my face is looking at you? I'm still anchored. What I'm feeling is this knuckle here is hard underneath my chin, so that this finger, these digits, the last ones, they can actually release and I don't lose contact. Watch. Those are pretty good shots. Take a peek. Oops, oops, oops. Camera's moving around. What we're paying attention to, guys, is not the height. I'm a little high because it's not 10 meters, it's like 8. What I want you to pay attention to is the left to right, the lack of error there, the very small error. That's what we're looking for with a small motion release. We've already decided on the distance. It's going to be high or low based on what my string walking gap is. The release doesn't control that. What the release controls is the left to right error. So if you go back and look from here, if we zoom in on that again, you'll see that there's only minimal error left to right. And that's with me talking. I hope you guys found that helpful. All right, that's it. It was meant to be a short video. See ya. Oh, by the way, I love it when you guys ask me in comments and say, hey, there's some part I don't understand. Make another video. I love doing that. That giving me direction. It tells me you're engaged. It tells me you're keen on archery. There's something I didn't do a good job on, and I don't have to try to read your mind because you guys are talking to me. I appreciate that. All right, see ya. Look over my shoulder while I do my small motion release. Let's shoot at a 30-yard target before we go. I love shooting at this, it's called wood wool. It's shaved wood. It looks like hay, but it's not hay, it's not straw. It's wood wool, it's the bales, it's the stuff that goes inside the caskets. But it also uses, it's also a backing for targets because it can survive the winter. It's a 30-yard shot. That's going to be, for this bow, a 3-finger 20-meter gap, up a half of a finger to get to 30. I'm going to draw back like this, middle of the pads, middle of the finger pads, anchoring this middle digit under my chin. And then I'm going to stop talking. Not bad. You notice my hand didn't leave my chin. Just extended. It's a rigid structure. You can't move it. I'm a frame like a truss in a house. Firm, except for old muscles. But I'm not floating in outer space. This arm, this is not floating in outer space. And it's not anchored at your cheek. Anchoring at your cheek isn't even anchoring, guys, because to let go of the bowstring, you have to actually float your hand away in order for the finger to even open up. So you're not really anchored at your cheek, are you? You're floating, and that means you're not rigid. Here, you're rigid, and you can still let go of the bowstring. Something to think about. Bullseye. That's as bullseye as it gets. What I want you guys to key in on is 0 left to right error because of the small motion release. Let's do a couple more. Let's see if I get one more in the circle. In. You're not going to hear it land on this one. This is wood wool. So we'll just walk up and look at it. Last one. Pretty good. Let's go take a peek. Again, what I want you to key in on is not a lot of variation left to right. There's a crosswind coming in today. There's going to be some, unavoidable. But for the most part, .30-yard shot with that one in the dead center. A couple others that drifted a few inches over 30 yards because the wind came up. Look at the wind. You'll see the wind in the trees. You got to be realistic. Yeah. Not bad. Cut. Let's shoot a couple at 50 yards. You'll see down here it says 50 yards. My string walking is all calibrated for meters, so I got to convert that. 50 yards times 10%. 1/10 of that is 5. Subtract that from the yards, you get 45 meters. You can do it in your head. So now I got a 45-meter shot. We already know that 45 meters on this one looks like this. We start off with a 3-finger gap. We got to go up a whole finger to go to 30 to 40. This is what 40 looks like. I need 45. That's a half a finger minus a quarter. there's my 45 meter gap. Or I get so used to knowing, I know that 40 meters is really 2 fingers down. So I can go like this, 40, 50, 45, done. Simple as that. VOGTLAND string walking is easy to do. There's a big crosswind coming from camera right, pushing right at my face at a 45-degree angle. Let's see what I can do. Pretty good. That's 2. 40, 50, halfway in between is 45. Damn near bullseye. We'll go look at those 3. One more. Remember guys, this is at 50 yards. 2 down is 40. Halfway up, 1 finger is 50. Split that difference, I get 45. A little high, but dead center. Nice left to right. Let's go take a look. One thing that I hope you guys get, hang on. Don't go anywhere. I just can't carry the camera with the legs extended. One thing that I hope a lot of you guys get from the VOGTLAND shooting method is the confidence to at least get on the target at just about every distance all the way out to 70 meters. It gets a really iffy after that, quite all right, because wind comes in. You got a hang time, you got an air time of 2, even 3 seconds. But here's my shots at 50 yards. Just calculating on the fly. And you'll see 2 really nice shots. One shot a little high. All it takes is a crosswind to lift the arrow up. One shot just a hair low. All it takes is for that to go down when you think it's coming. But the left to right error is only about 6 inches. 6 inches across all of them in a crosswind coming from this way at about, watch those trees, it's about a 5 to 10 mile an hour crosswind. There's nothing wrong with that, guys. Nothing. So what I hope you guys start thinking when you're using the VOGTLAND shooting method. I know some of you guys are saying, I'm shooting at 10 until I get really confident. You're saying I'm shooting at 20. Guys, have faith in the method. Shoot at 30, shoot at 40, shoot at 50. This is what your shots are gonna look like. I mean, don't kid yourself. Unless you're out here shooting 100 shots a day so that your back muscles, everything gets really strong, really stable, really consistent, you're not gonna see magical tight groups. That comes from consistency too. It comes from working those muscles every single day. So you're not wobbling after 10 or 15 shots. After 40 or 50 shots, you're still rock solid and consistent. But nobody's gonna laugh at you if you're shooting like this at 50 yards with a Barebow.